Spurs is sat 5th, yet on the verge of a crisis. There will be no haircut for Man United's viral sensation. Meanwhile, the robot is now mocking us. Anthony is back, and RB Leipzig's latest wunderkind is scary good. This is DMAC Daily. Tottenham are an extremely confusing team to assess right now because in terms of their league results, they've actually been fairly good this season. They're sat 5th in the table, which at face value should be positive signs, right? Remember, they finished 17th last campaign. But beneath the surface, Thomas Frank's tenure is surprisingly getting toxic quickly. Following years of chaos at Spurs, the pinnacle of which came under Ange, they entrusted in Frank's leadership to hopefully bring in long-term stability. The early results were promising. Defensively, they looked a lot better. Tactically, they seemed far more disciplined. Now, injuries have continued to be a problem at this club, but there is now a separate concern suddenly brewing within the Spurs fan base, and that is due to their manager's rigid tactics, the lack of creativity on display, and a woeful home record. Spurs are literally the best performing away team in the league, yet they're 17th in terms of home form. They haven't won at home in the Prem since the opening game of the season. Their latest match, hosting Chelsea, was another disaster class. 1-11, it appeared men against boys. Granted, Chelsea love an away day at Spurs' stadium, but this outing was particularly grim for Spurs because they essentially created nothing. 0.05 XG, their lowest ever XG recorded in a Premier League fixture. To make things worse, at full-time vice-captain Van der Ven and fullback Jed Spence then blanked their manager in front of everyone. You can clearly see in that moment, Frank is fuming. He tried to downplay it in the post-game presser, but I think there will be internal consequences from that altercation. You cannot be having your vice-captain publicly snub you like that. Now, is this a crisis scenario unfolding? Not yet, but the fear a lot of Spurs fans have is that results have been deceptive because they've significantly overperformed in correlation to the actual performances themselves. They are not a reliable side right now. Vicario's individual brilliance has bailed them out in goal. Record signing Xavi Simons has had an awful start, and to make things worse, look at their next 6 games, a menacing month or so. This suddenly has the potential to fully unravel. It's crazy how quickly the narratives shift in football. Case in point, Amorim's United. Just a few weeks prior, myself, and I'd say the vast majority of football fans, were convinced that whilst Frank had been working wonders, Ruben Amorim's tenure was a doomed cause. There was no going back. But then his side won 3 on the bounce. 392 days into the United Strands journey, bro was getting ready to book that long-awaited haircut, but a struggling Forest would end their winning streak. However, it wasn't a terrible day at the office. Despite conceding 2 in the space of 5 minutes, United didn't completely capitulate. They fought back. Diallo with a stunning volley before he was then dramatically denied in the dying embers with Murillo's goal line clearance. Now, the same old problems still persist with this United side. The lack of athleticism in midfield makes them liable to transitions, and defensively, still fragile. But they're only 2 points shy of top 4 right now, which is just wild. Staying on the topic of Manchester, and City made light work of high flyers Bournemouth thanks to who else but Erling Haaland. Another brace. The robot even gave the game away this time with that celebration. At what point do we ban this machine? Haaland now has over double the amount of goals as the second highest goal scorer in the division. The goal scoring metrics indicate that this is a one robot team in attack, and whilst that may have been the case for most of this season thus far, I think Cherki's influence is starting to grow. 2 classy assists today. Once this guy is at full fitness, he will be the creative heartbeat of this team. 2-footed, skillful as they come, with exceptional vision. At Lyon, he was damn near unplayable on his day. If he can properly adapt to the physicality of English football, then I think City have themselves a real asset here. Elsewhere, Liverpool ended their 4-match losing streak in the Prem with a vital 2-0 victory at home to Aston Villa. Salah netting his 250th goal for the club. Meanwhile, Arsenal are up to their usual tricks. 3 points, tick. Clean sheet, tick. Set piece goal, tick. They are literally unstoppable. They've actually evolved further. They're now scoring goals from opposition set pieces. A ruthless counter-attacking sequence for Rice's goal. Also, I thought Gyökeres's overall involvement in this match was impressive, quietly getting the job done for Arsenal. We also saw Espirito Santo's West Ham get up and running with a massive 3-1 win at home over Newcastle, and Wolves have finally sacked Vitor Pereira following a 3-0 defeat away at Fulham. Winless in their opening 10 games, it is not looking good out there. Moving to La Liga, and Alonso's Madrid continue to fire. Mbappe bagging a double this weekend. Interestingly, it was Goulet once again who set him up for the 6th time this season. Shades of Ozil-Ronaldo link-up play with these two. Bellingham also scored a banger, which was somehow outdone by Carreras' strike. This guy is quietly becoming one of the world's best fullbacks, a major L from United, having never given him a chance. Mbappe could have had a hat-trick, however, he decided to let Vini take the second penalty awarded, and it was subsequently saved. It's just not happening for the Brazilian right now, unlike La Liga's best Brazilian talent, Antony, who delivered a masterclass today. 2 stunning goals before setting up the third in Betis' 3-0 rout of Mallorca. Having essentially missed out on pre-season, it's taken some time to rediscover last season's form, but he's pretty much there now. His 7th goal involvement in 9 games in 25-26. All the talk in Brazil is about whether Neymar can find his way back into the Seleção, but I think Antony has a far more realistic chance of actually doing so considering his performances. This guy has overcome being a meme to legitimately becoming one of La Liga's best performers, which reminds me of another former outcast of United, Marcus Rashford, who continues to shine at Barcelona. Fresh off of turning 28, the Englishman would score a fine goal to see off Elche 3-1 before receiving a standing ovation by the home crowd. He's now got 13 goals and assists in 14 games for Barca. For all the criticism he's copped in the past, we're seeing a remarkable redemption arc take place, a new attacking weapon for the Blaugrana. The same could be said though for Fermin Lopez, setting up 2 goals today. He's now got 8 GA in 9 games himself. He too would receive a standing ovation. Can't forget about Yamal either, opening the scoring today. It wasn't his best performance though. He's definitely not fully fit just yet. The ongoing injury woes have been well documented this season, but I'm still backing Yamal to take center stage in the months ahead. Shifting gears to the Serie A, and I remain adamant, this is the most competitive league amongst Europe's elite. In Spain, it's a 2-horse race. Arsenal, Bayern, and PSG are dominating their respective divisions, but I have no idea who's winning the Scudetto at this stage. Napoli remain in top spot despite dropping points at home to Como, but elsewhere there were some big results. Inter rised into 2nd place thanks to a 93rd minute match-winning own goal, whilst their Milan neighbours secured a statement 1-0 victory at home over fellow contenders Roma to leapfrog them into 3rd place. Pavlovic with the lone strike, yet it was Milan's captain Maignan who stole the show, denying Dybala from the penalty spot to secure the 3 points. While Spalletti's Juve dynasty got up and running with a 2-1 win away at Cremonese. They're now just 4 points shy of top spot themselves. So we could be looking at least 5 legitimate title contenders here. This league is a total dogfight. Moving to the Bundesliga, and Bayern continue to do Bayern things. 15 games, 15 wins, all whilst resting key starters for their blockbuster away day in Paris this week. I know it's only November, but I'm not sure if anyone can stop them at this point. That being said, this new iteration of RB Leipzig is seriously impressive. 22 points accumulated in their opening 9 match days, their best ever start to a Bundesliga campaign. Yet it's the performances of a new recruit, Jan Diomande, that has taken the division by storm. This kid was literally playing high school soccer back in the US this time last year. But soon after, he would be snapped up by La Liga outfit Leganés. A few months later, he'd make his senior debut at the Bernabeu, and a couple weeks later had his first La Liga goal. Unfortunately, Leganés would be relegated, but he'd still land a 20 mil transfer to Leipzig in the summer. Now, he didn't hit the ground running initially, subbed at half-time on his Bundesliga debut in a 6-0 drumming to Bayern, but game by game, he has improved, and in his last 2 outings, bro has exploded. 5 goal involvements in total, but it's the dribbling and speed at which this kid plays that has got people taking note. That front 3 of Nusa, Diomande, and Romulo is now causing frequent havoc in the Bundesliga. Wild that this kid is already the star of this team. In fact, Leipzig are already bracing for a potential move next summer, with his evaluation currently sitting at 100 million euros. He is expected to become their future record sale. He is the future of African football. Crazy to think that bro was playing high school footy in the US 12 months ago. Anyways, guys, that's all for today's DMAC Daily. Catch you next time.